What's going on, y'all? Happy Friday to you. Hope you're doing great. Be sure to check out the Buddy Brown podcast. We just did episode number 5 just Wednesday. So if you got some windshield time, you got about 25, maybe 30 minutes, you just want a good old boy sitting next to you instead of the craziness of this world, check that podcast out. Y'all, is it just me, or have all the Bigfoot believers now switched over to UFOs? I'm sitting there watching all these documentaries of all this stuff in the sky, and I'm like, that's Jimmy Earl and Cousin Ray Ray from all the Bigfoot shows. Now they're just, man, we talk about some lucky dudes. They got to see Bigfoot and UFOs. What a coincidence, y'all. All right, so here's the deal. We have acid rain clouds basically building up in Ohio and Pennsylvania, and my heart goes out to everybody. I know we have so many people up in Ohio, up in Pennsylvania, that are looking up to the sky wondering, what the hell is that, and should I breathe it in? I can't even imagine what you're thinking. And here's something, I mean, there's been enough chemical crap poured into the atmosphere at this point to have wiped out the Brachiosaurus population, if they were still existing. Absolutely, I'd be worried. When the train cars crashed, they're not talking about this a whole lot, so I want to let you know, when those 5 cars, the contents of all that crap was detonated into the atmosphere, there was a chemical called phosgene. If you're not familiar with phosgene, it was one of the chemical weapons during World War I that wiped people out. They say it smells like fresh cut grass. They say it kind of smells like hay in the field. But by the time you have inhaled it, you smelt it, you've already inhaled 4 times the safe limit into your lungs. The other thing is, the Ohio River provides about 10% of America's drinking water to everybody, and now it's contaminated. 10%. I mean, how many people are going to be looking at where their bottled water comes from at this point? You got Ice Mountain? You got Deer Park? I'm just saying. I should be looking into it. AOC and Greta Thunberg and DiCaprio, they ain't marching in Ohio at all. They don't have a megaphone down Main Street talking about how terrible this is. So I guess that just proves they're in it for the money and never really cared to begin with. That's just interesting, ain't it? So I got to looking around, and it turns out that some of the last derailments, you just pick about 4 that have really gone on in this country, and they're just now getting talked about. I mean, they happen all the time, but they're the last 4. You got Houston, you got South Carolina, Louisiana, and Ohio. All red states. Interesting, huh? Just a coincidence, I'm sure, though. I mean, at what point do all the coincidences become a mathematical impossibility? I'm just asking for a friend. At what point, y'all? You know, we spend all our time looking up to the sky and worried about a dadgum nuclear bomb. And so many people I know have looked around and, you know, they're worried about a dadgum virus, all that kind of stuff. You pour this crap in the atmosphere, they ain't got to fire a single shot to take us all out. This reminds me a lot of like a billionaire Bond villain from a James Bond movie who just hates American patriots. It also reminds me of General William Sherman. Y'all remember Sherman? He's one of the most evil men that ever existed in the history of America. That's a whole nother video right there. But Sherman had to take out all the Native Americans. He had to take out the Indians. So he said, to be able to do that, I got to take out the bison. So he goes and wipes out 5 million bison. You kill a bison, you kill an Indian, basically what he said. It's sick. And this is the kind of crap that we've had going on for 160 years out in the wild, wild west. You know, what I'm saying is, we are the new Indians, if you haven't figured it out yet. American patriots, good old rural farmers, people who are just minding their business in farm land, we're the new Indians. Here's my question to y'all. Is anybody exhausted yet? Or even a better question, is anybody thriving? You say, how in the heck could we possibly be thriving, buddy? I mean, look what all's going on. Well, one way, you could be mentally ill. You could be so narcissistic that you are completely tuning that out. I have people that are actually very close to me in many different relation ways that are able to do that. And that sucks because they're going to be blindsided. You'd be surprised how many millions of people live every day like that. The other way is you could be thriving because God has kept you. And what do I mean by God has kept you? What I mean is Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. Since you've kept my commandments and endured patiently, I will also keep you, underline that in your Bibles, by the way, from the hour that is going to come and basically wreak havoc on all the inhabitants of the earth, is what it says. You know, see, the line has already been drawn in the sand. And I believe that the majority of the people that are watching this channel are kept by God. But that doesn't mean that life is going to be easy. That doesn't mean everything just kind of works out for us. That just means that we're a whole lot better off than we deserve because we are being kept right now. You know, I'm preparing for a much bigger role than a couple million social media followers. I'm preparing for a much bigger role than that. This is just the warm-up. I want to be a commander in the Lord's army in the last days, fighting and guarding the elect, even if I have to do it from the middle of the dadgum wilderness. We're living in the twilight zone right now. I get it. There's weather modifications going on. You look up there and you see cloud structures that nobody in their right mind could possibly say are natural. There's UFO sightings. There's orbs flying around. Just all this crazy crap. There's food distribution plants that are just blowing up. We got a Cold War between China and Russia that has now started, and normal isn't coming back, but Jesus is. And I firmly believe that, y'all. I don't think that our real life has even started yet. That's the most beautiful part. When it all hits the fan and you find yourself kept by God, Revelation 3:10, you're going to feel a whole lot more alive than you ever did sitting in that cubicle. You're going to feel a whole lot more alive than you ever could have eating that turkey sandwich in your truck right now. I promise you. It's time to remind yourselves who you really are and who you belong to, because when that happens, there ain't a single news headline in the world that can shake you or even make you blink. God bless y'all. Be good.